lethal conflict in history, and about half of the soldiers who perished on all of its battlefields all the world over died here in this same region, in the Bloodlands. Yet not a single one of the 14 million murdered was a soldier on active duty. Most were women, children, and the aged. None were bearing weapons. Many had been stripped of their possessions, including their clothes. Auschwitz is the most familiar killing site of the Bloodlands. Today Auschwitz stands for the Holocaust, and the Holocaust for the evil of a century. Yet the people registered as labourers at Auschwitz had a chance of surviving. Thanks to the memoirs and novels written by survivors, its name is known. Far more Jews, most of them Polish Jews, were gassed in other German death factories, where almost everyone died, and whose names are less often recalled. Treblinka, Chełmno, Sobibor, Buzet. Still more Jews, Polish or Soviet or Baltic Jews, were shot over ditches and pits. Most of these Jews died near where they had lived, in occupied Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Soviet Ukraine, and Soviet Belarus. The Germans brought Jews from elsewhere to the Bloodlands to be killed. Jews arrived by train to Auschwitz from Hungary, Czechoslovakia, France, the Netherlands, Greece, Belgium, Yugoslavia, Italy, and Norway. German Jews were deported to the cities of the Bloodlands, to Lodz, or Kaunas, or Minsk, or Warsaw, before being shot or gassed. The people who lived on the block where I am writing now, in the 9th district of Vienna, were deported to Auschwitz, Sobibor, Treblinka, and Riga, all in the Bloodlands. The German mass murder of Jews took place in occupied Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and the Soviet Union, not in Germany itself. Hitler was an anti-Semitic politician in a country with a small Jewish community. Jews were fewer than 1% of the German population when Hitler became Chancellor in 1933, and about 1/4% by the beginning of the Second World War. During the first 6 years of Hitler's rule, German Jews were allowed, in humiliating and impoverishing circumstances, to emigrate. Most of the German Jews who saw Hitler win elections in 1933 died of natural causes. The murder of 165,000 German Jews was a ghastly crime in and of itself, but only a very small part of the tragedy of European Jews. Fewer than 3% of the deaths of the Holocaust. Only when Nazi Germany invaded Poland in 1939 and the Soviet Union in 1941 did Hitler's visions of the elimination of Jews from Europe intersect with the two most significant populations of European Jews. His ambition to eliminate the Jews of Europe could be realized only in the parts of Europe where Jews lived. The Holocaust overshadows German plans that envisioned even more killing. Hitler wanted not only to eradicate the Jews, he wanted also to destroy Poland and the Soviet Union as states, exterminate their ruling classes, and kill tens of millions of Slavs, Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Poles. If the German war against the USSR had gone as planned, 30 million civilians would have been starved in its first winter, and tens of millions more expelled, killed, assimilated, or enslaved thereafter. Though these plans were never realized, they supplied the moral premises of German occupation policy in the East. The Germans murdered about as many non-Jews as Jews during the war, chiefly by starving Soviet prisoners of war, more than 3 million, and residents of besieged cities, more than 1 million, or by shooting civilians in reprisals, the better part of 1 million, chiefly Belarusians and Poles. The Soviet Union defeated Nazi Germany on the Eastern Front in the Second World War, thereby earning Stalin the gratitude of millions and a crucial part in the establishment of the post-war order in Europe. Yet Stalin's own record of mass murder was almost as imposing as Hitler's. Indeed, in times of peace it was far worse. In the name of defending and modernizing the Soviet Union, Stalin oversaw the starvation of millions and the shooting of 750,000 people in the 1930s. Stalin killed his own citizens no less efficiently than Hitler killed the citizens of other countries. Of the 14 million people deliberately murdered in the Bloodlands between 1933 and 1945, a third belong in the Soviet account. This is a history of political mass murder. The 14 million were all victims of a Soviet or Nazi killing policy, often of an interaction between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany, but never casualties of the war between them.